Hello. Hi. Hey, Bucks of Paint, hi. Let me know if you can hear and see fine. Hopefully it works. Sorry. Whew. I've been having way too many gastric, stomach acid problems lately, so I'm not caffeinated in any way, and I apologize if I sound, yeah, that's a good start. If I sound, I don't know, tired or something. Hey, Lena, hi. Can see it seems a little quiet, but can hear you. Whoops. Hold on, let me check that out. I had to like, I had to redo the settings, so I'll wanna check it out. What? The fudge is that? So is that better? I hope that's better. I tried putting some gain on the audio. Sorry. Is it loud enough, or should it be louder still? That is much better. Cool. Is it enough? It can be louder, but it's good. I'll wait for a bit until more people come in and maybe get a bit more data that way. I'm not someone who speaks really loud, like, to begin with. So how are you guys? How is everyone this Saturday? My fingertips are so dry already that they kind of act like Velcro. And it's really annoying for any kind of fiber-related handiwork, whether it's knitting, crocheting, or sewing. Hey Jill, hi! I'm good, we went out today and it was delicious. What did you get? we're good here. Hubby had a long couple of weeks with work and is now officially on annual leave. Ooh! So we can farm sim until what? It was an Italian restaurant that's located in a forest. Wow! We had bruschetta, pizza, gnocchi, and an iced dessert. So for those of us who missed a few weeks, what am I working on? It's gonna be a cushion cover. It's basically a big square made of smaller squares made of triangles. I'm sewing following a technique that Otto introduced me to, which is named English paper piecing, and it's basically about using pieces of paper that you can baste with thread or glue. Well, you can like attach fabric to, and then you attach all those pieces together, and in the end you remove all the papers. Abby's currently obsessed with Farm Sim 22 and literally spends hours just driving. I'm in awe at the scope of this project. And you, oh, thank you so much. It's not a very big project, to be honest, but it's a good starting one. Like, people make whole quilts this way. That's a big task. But yeah, I've been enjoying it since, you know, I didn't really have a hobby since my hobby used to be drawing when I was like in school, and then still kind of drawing when I was in work, but now since drawing is more work than hobby, having something completely different to do, it has been really enjoyable. And also, I don't like I had a sewing machine and I didn't really enjoy it. And sewing by hand kind of, for now, makes me happier than sewing with a machine. It's much slower, of course, but like, you don't really have to set it up. You don't need a lot of space. It's not noisy. Sewing by hand is much easier to control too. So there are a lot of advantages. I'm usually not a process person, so this is really unusual and weird. The only issue I'm encountering so far is that I haven't found a thimble that I can comfortably work with, so my fingers are a bit shredded at the moment, but yeah, I'll figure it out. Even these stupid band-aids I'm using are not really helpful, especially on this index finger. On the middle finger, I kind of notice it less, but on this, on the index finger. The loss in dexterity due to the extra layer and the texture of the thing, which tends to catches up in the thread more than my skin would, it really makes this inefficient. There. As long as it makes you happy, it's fine. It's like meditation. And there is a YouTuber seamstress who sews whole Victorian. Yeah, I know. Bernadette something, right? She did a medieval dress that way. So your internet decided to restart on us. Rude. I always have a ton of those blister pads around. Wonder if you could use a sliver. Oh, I'll have to check it out. They seem like it would give you the page turner grip. Yeah, it's a tough balance of the kind of grip you want and the kind of like dexterity. Also, I could put on some moisturizing cream. That would probably help. Hey Susan, long time no see. Hi. Hello. Oh, I think I think the allergies are catching up with me. Hold on, I'll have to go grab some allergy tabs. I thought we were done, but apparently not. You know when your nose and throat start itching for no reason. Oh, sorry. Allergies are really annoying. There's only Pico in here that's not suffering from any kind of allergies. Also, I was looking at my hand cream and it says made in Great Britain on it, so it's kind of funny. No, mine got worse the last 3 weeks somehow. I do wait until it's over, but it's not. Yeah, it just. You're like, what is spewing pollen right now? Ouch. Needle is still very sharp, so I pricked my finger and should always have some tissue nearby. So what are you all working at? I'm preparing to ruffle quilts, machine sewing though, and I have to rewrite the pattern for a fake Delphonic pouch so I can make a couple of first. Oh, that's such a nice idea. That sounds like a lot of work. The pouch, I mean, a quilt is a lot of work, but at least it's pretty you know, it's usually kind of 2D, whereas creating a pouch has an extra dimension to work with. What kind of machine do you like to use, Susan, for quilting? I'm not making a quilt yet, but I will definitely give it a try at some point. I have a heirloom quilt that my grandmother and her relatives made. The grandma on my dad's side, and she passed when I was really young. But she lived here in Quebec, and in a little like more of a farm village. So they would often get together, like family and relatives, like sisters, cousins, and all that, and sew quilts by hand while drinking strong alcohol and smoking. I think I mentioned that last week, but yeah, still cracks me up. But yeah, I'm learning a lot about quilts and quilting and all of that. Yeah, the pouches are a bit more 3D, but not too hard. I have made fantastic quilts on a simple €100, yeah, euros, sorry, Singer from Lidl. That's a shop, right? Sewing machine. So you don't need a fancy machine. Understandably, it's just, I feel like a fancier machine will be just easier to use from a just usage point of view. But yeah, hold on, it's laundry day and the machine just beeped, so I'll be right back. Faut faire le tri pour partir de sèche aussi.
Bonjour, Chiro. Allô? Chiro? Nul autre. Elle n'a pas dit grand-chose à part pour vous. Hein, petit chat? Elle est installée dans sa boîte.
Bonjour. Alright, sorry about that. I'm back. Wait. Just working on Inktober. Proms and hubby was at his mom's today and got the first 10 painted. Wow, okay. Wow. Also found out Emmy isn't and Bear is afraid of the hairdryers. Oh no. But I was painting on both sides and didn't have patience for it. Yeah, that's fair enough. But I have a Pfaff quilt expression 720 now, which I love. Expression. Yeah, expression. Unless it makes coffee too. Can you imagine you have a sewing machine and it has an espresso feature on it? For those long nights of quilting. How do you quilt yours at the end? Do you like freeform quilt it yourself or lines, or do you send it to get long arm quilted? I found out what a long arm machine is not too long ago, and I'm still like fascinated by them. First of all, they look really like unusual, but they are so expensive that it kind of adds to the intrigue of them. Like I saw some going from 7K to 50K, and I was laughing a bit. I was like, oh my gosh, 50K. So the studios who have long arm machine, you can send out like your quilt sandwich to be quilted together. And they send it back and all you have to do is the binding, I guess. My kind of sewing machine. I quilt everything myself, but the bigger the quilt, the harder it is. Since yours has quilt in the name, is it a bit more, like, does it have a bit more space so you can bunch up your quilt to quilt it? I think that one's right. I think this one's supposed to be this way, right? So you might know, you might not know, but I've never really had a white cat before in my life, and I don't really have a white cat now, but I see Shiro a lot, and she's very white, you know, mostly white. Only her, the top of her head and her tail are colored, and I would not have expected white cat to be so reflective of all the colors around them. She's sitting near the window, and she's got all sorts of bounce light reflecting back on her, and it's really fascinating to look at. Like she has some cold white blue light coming from one way, and then probably something that bounces off the brick of the building, which are red, so she has a red bounce light on the other side. It's really fascinating to look at. You can get quite intricate designs even with a simple sewing machine. The quilt with the turquoise and lime green is all done on that simple machine. Where have you shared photos? I want to see that later on. I can't look at anything right now because my phone is the camera, but the pfaff has more space between the needle and the stand. Oh, okay. I am working on a king-size quilt. Oh! And it is really, really hard. I wish there was a long arm I could run out. Is there any place you could send it to get it quilted and then they send it back? That's the kind of format I've seen the most. I even found a place in Canada that could do it. Like I've seen it in YouTube videos from quilters in the US, and then I found a place. They price it by the square inch. It's something like 2 cents per square inch, but a quilt is quite a substantial amount of square inches, so that's how they. Then you get access to all sorts of digital. Well, I say digital because it's a computer that sets up the pattern throughout, but it's fascinating. It's such an odd machine. Yes, I could send it out, but I want to do more intricate quilting and not just a pantograph. But they have all sorts of designs depending on the kind of long arm machine that they have. Like a lot of the designs can only be sort of dealt with computer assistance, because it's so like it's gonna be something like, oh, a rainbow and clouds, and you're like, what? How does that work out? Yeah, I guess if it's a quilting pattern that is really custom depending on what the quilt looks like, that would be harder to get stitch elsewhere. Jinja! Hey, Alex! Hello! How is the fur family? Give some scritches to Mr. Dexter for us. Dexter has enough energy to get himself into trouble. I've deployed 2 puzzle toys to keep him busy. That's a really good sign. Oh my gosh, that's good to hear. Let's go. It's hard to think that it was just last week, but it was my birthday last week, and I made and ate a delicious cake, and was really happy with it. It's the least fancy cake in the history of cakes, but it really hit the spot I was trying to hit with it, and it was delicious. If I had a somewhat better metabolism, I would eat cake a lot more often. Cake is amazing. He might not eat dinner tonight at all because of the treats he's getting now. I am okay with it. Not as much gusto, but yeah, that's good. Hey, thank you. Oh, it was such a simple cake. It was, hey, hi Melissa, by the way, hello. I was trying to go for the nostalgia of the birthday cake my mom used to make when I was a kid. And I hadn't had one in a really long time because of all the family stuff, and then kind of living just far enough so that you can't really have family bring over food just because. And also my mom stopped being as interested in cooking as she, not that she ever was a lot, but there was a market decline in her success with the same recipes she would do before. So basically, no cake for like 20 years or something. So I felt a strong nostalgia for the cake she would used to make. And what she would do was she would buy a boxed cake, you know, the mix that you add milk, egg, and oil to it, mix it up, cook it, and then she would make her own buttercream and ice it. Like have a layer of icing in between the 2 layers of cakes, and then icing all around the cake. So what I did is I bought a boxed mix of a vanilla cake, like the yellow cake, and I baked that, and then I prepared my own buttercream with margarine because I'm not too big on butter, and I iced my cake. So it was a very simple cake, but it was delicious. My nephew turned 18 and requested a Colin cake. And the first one was damaged, so there was a second one and a million baby Collins. Sweet, literally, and emotional. Oh, what's a Colin cake? Yeah, it was delicious. It was really simple. But I mean, simple is not a flaw, it's just a descriptive. Also, boxed cake make for some really floofy, delicious cakes. Probably because of all the, you know, slightly unusual chemicals they put in there, but yeah. I think part of the nostalgia effect was in a bit due to the fact that I would quite often help my mom in the kitchen. So she would often request that I come help when it was time to make cakes. So it's a bit of a feeling of making the whole cake, even if it's, you know, not entirely from scratch. There was something there. And, you know, you make the icing with the stand mixer. I don't have a stand mixer. I have a handheld mixer, but you know, but then you have the whisks, and you can lick off the icing from the whisks. That was also my favorite part. And you know, when you prepare the cakes to be piled up, you always trim the bottom one so it's flat on the top, so you can eat the cake. Like, there's a lot of great memories. And I was a bit unsure at first because I was like, do I want to risk sort of altering these memories? Like, say my cake is not as good as I remember cakes to be. Is it gonna affect the memories of it? But no, it turned out great. So also I was able to eat cake for breakfast, which is pretty epic. Saw a recipe for a pecan pie cobbler, and I think it's gonna need to. Oh, ooh. That sounds intriguing. It has a lot of potential. Calling the caterpillar is. Oh yeah, I think Otto. I think I saw one recently. Okay. Yeah, okay. Calling the caterpillar is a huge thing over here. It's like a Swiss roll dipped in chocolate with a big white chocolate face. Why? But that's okay. Kind of reminds me of a kind of Yule log type of cake. It's gonna be the next one, I guess, if we make one this year, or maybe we'll just make the gingerbread cookies. My mom used to make a yellow butter cake with chocolate frosting, and it's basically the only cake I like now. Give me some sweet nostalgia. That's basically like similar to what I got, so I fully understand what you mean. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy, right? It just has to have the proper ratio of stuff and to be edible, I guess. Looks like a chocolate version of the cat. But how do you... I wouldn't want to eat it. Like, if it's too cute, I would feel really weird about eating it. I don't think I have a nostalgia cake, but my mother made a chocolate cake with cream and bananas a few times when I was a teen, and it was so good. Sometimes I think about it. Yeah, that's when you know a cake is good. It's when you have moments later on in life where you pause and go like, that was a really good cake. Oh man, I have quite a few of these. My mom's tiramisu was really good too, but that's just one that I can't eat anymore. Like, it's just full of things that will hurt, like mascarpone and cream. There's no coming back from those two. I miss yellow cake mix. A friend makes the best cookies using yellow cake mix, and it's just not a thing. Really? But butterscotch pudding and yellow cake mix. Kind of have to put together a nostalgia box to send you. So I remember watching in a documentary once a thing about a box mix cake box. That, hold on, what's it? Yeah, cake mix. When it became a product available in the US, oh, I think it was in the US, but hey, Otto! Hello! I sometimes think about some dishes that turned out really bad. My grandma's black magic cake was out of this world. Had brewed coffee in the batter and half an inch of chocolate fudge-like icing. Okay, that sounds bomb. Fudge is awesome. So yeah, when they came out with the cake mix as a product to housewives, I think initially they were not really. It was not a success initially, and what they did to turn that around is they tweaked the recipe a bit so that you would have to incorporate more items in the mix, so that it would feel less like, I don't know how to say it exactly. Mind you, it's been a while since I saw that, but basically it kind of felt like cheating to just take the box, add milk, and cook it. So by having to add a couple of more things in there, it felt more like you had home cooked the whole cake itself, and people, maybe housewives, felt better about it this way, I think. I weighed 110 pounds when I moved in with my grandma, and she made one of these every 3 days. And 6 months later, I was pushing 200. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, that's not ideal. Every 3 days. That's not a lot of time to finish up a cake. Oh my gosh. She meant well. Oh, definitely. Yep, I am sewing the squares together now, so I'm making these long strips. And when I have all the strips finished, I'll attach all the strips together. And then that should be it. I should be able to remove all the papers and set it aside until I know what to do, like how to work out a, a cushion cover with a quilt front kind of thingamajig. I had to ditch the border I had thought about doing, because the border I made initially, like to make it a bit different, I made it in just full squares instead of half triangle squares. But since it didn't have this extra little material between the triangles, it didn't pair up nicely with the alignments. Like, it was not aligned properly with the squares of this main pattern. Sorry. So I've set these aside, the full squares aside, and I will do something else with them at some point. need a sip of water. I'm not going to lie, I feel like I exist too stressy this week. Currently eating ice cream and calling it lunch. Well, that's fine. At least you're not eating lunch and ice cream. I was having a very picky phase, and if she found something you liked, you had it in abundance. Hubby's first visit, and he hardly ate anything. Found out he liked pork chop. Next visit, 24 pork chops. Oh my gosh, that's like, how many porks is that in, like, how many pigs is it in pork chops? Food is definitely my family's love language. It's a tricky one, but yeah. Talk about go hard or go home. It's all or nothing. Aw, it's very cute. Shiro came by and she's sleeping in the box we have set out for her. You're super cute. Reminds me of a very weird lesson in history. We spoke about crusaders and how it was financially challenging to go on a crusade. And the unit of measurement we had in the document was chicken or fish. And it was like 1 x equals 5 chicken or 100 fish or so. And you needed a certain amount of money to finance the crusade. So we did math, how much food could be. It was expensive. Ah, there's a dumbass with his leaf blower outside. I want to do mean things. We absolutely need a ban on leaf blowers. Nobody needs a leaf blower. Like, absolutely no one. First of all, brooms exist, so there's that. If not a broom, then a rake. A rake works perfectly fine too. And fall is coming, is going to be a nightmare. Not that the summer stopped them in any way. They still use their leaf blowers all the time in the summer, but in the fall, when you have all the leaves falling, they feel even more like they really can't tolerate any kind of stuff on the ground, and all the leaves falling are definitely problematic for that. I fully don't understand, because first of all, there's gonna be more debris in your freaking garbage entrance, whatever you want to call it. And who cares if there's like a couple of leaves in your freaking parkway thingamajig? Oh no, leaves! Ooh, oh no! A branch! Ooh! Kitty visitor love. Yeah, she's so sweet. She's starting to like it's a bit cooler at night, and we were absolutely worried about her for that because she in the full summer she would spend the night outside, which is fine when it's like 20 degrees outside during the night, but less so when it's like 10 degrees or below. That's a bit cold. She's not a very big cat. She doesn't have any kind of fat layer to protect herself, so we were a bit worried, but apparently she has started going back home a bit more, so that's a relief. And one student started the discussion about how they would transport 1,000 chicken or 10,000 fish on a crusade and whether they'd take the fish in barrels. We had a tiny little tuxedo kitty snoozing in the sun in our garden this week. Aww. Is he like colored? Does he belong to someone? Leaf blowers are great for powdery snow. Nah. Can't agree on leaf blowers. They're so obnoxious, but they sure do make raking faster. They do, but who's in a hurry that bad? I don't. Is there a law that you have to clean up the leaves that fall on your front lawn from the trees? Like, can you just leave them there? I make this complaint every year, but 19 years in the UK, and it still blows my mind that leaves on the track can cause so much trouble. Do they? Most don't have so much room in the front yard path. It's quicker to rake. Yeah. Yeah, I've been on a train that derailed quite. Oof. But I mean, okay, different setting though. If it's machinery to clear up train tracks, that's not exactly the same as a Joe Blow, your boomer neighbor that can't stand having one leaf in his yard and takes out his leaf blower every single time there's a leaf out. Not the same energy. Like if leaf blowers were only used to, let's say, clear a train track, I wouldn't mind it as much. What bothers me is that this dumbass takes his out like multiple times a day. How useless is that? He was well taken care of, but didn't see a color. Was smaller than Emmy, and not gonna lie, I may have left the bathroom window open to see if he was, if we got a real visit. Aww. The train shut down here for leaves on the tracks. You can get. Well, I mean, they are slippery, so okay. But yeah, I mean, not exactly like. You need to clear out train tracks. And like it's a bit when they take the snowplows out to clear out the snows on the street. Like that's something you have to do, fine, but there's really no obligation for some semi-suburban boomer dumbass to take out the leaf blower every single day, multiple times a day. Like I don't understand why. Well, I mean, okay, it's not a real question, but I can't fathom why leaf blowers are available for everyone to buy. I mean, the dude is a retired boomer. He's got nothing to do all day long. He could, you know, use a broom. He has the time. There's no need or justification for using a stupid leaf blower. Oh, I think Cheryl is snoring. But they planted the trees by the track. They made the problem. Yeah, well, you want to look at something nice when you're in the train, I guess, right? Cheryl fait les sons.
Ah bah oui.
C'est vraiment drôle. Yeah, the safety aspect is bananas, but my train was moving super slow and still derailed. Like, it actually is for a good reason that they do that. Oh, I totally get it's infuriating, but how will the train tracks get cleaned? It's not like people go along there to clean them, are they? Yeah, they have, I think they have special wagons for that. To clear out the tracks. I've known about it for 19 years. Surely someone somewhere by now has thought this seems to be a problem. Totally sympathizes with Ev's argument against leaf blowers, and it's cracking me up. Brooms exist. They do. C'est quoi ça? C'est bien mignon. We drove our neighbors crazy by simply mowing over the leaves in our yard with our mulching lawnmower in the fall and letting them break down. Well, your neighbors like deserve a bit of a kick in the butt. It's not their freaking. Oh my gosh! Help! Help! That's totally what I would do too. Like, it's good for the soil to get the mulch from the fallen leaves and like have it decompose over the winter and rejuvenate the soil, and you get better grass next year. So, hey Dan, hi. Before there was leaf blowers, the same boomer type of person would use the water hose to, you know, push away all the leaves to the street, which is equally stupid. Less noisy perhaps, but such a waste. Oh, they had hardcore opinions about them. Oh, that sounds awful. It's like, okay, sure, not your yard, thank you, bye-bye. We don't have a lot of trees around us, and the few we have, I'm collecting everything I can for the for the isopods. Oh, that's lovely. On weird plant stuff, 2 of our hydrangeas. I don't think I've ever heard that word spoken out loud in English. Leaves look like a poinsettia. Poinsettia? 3 days after you buy it. And it's flowering like mad, and the other is super bushy and healthy, and that is single flower head. Well, it kind of makes sense. Like, all the energy goes towards making flowers. And no, not leaves. But it's really funny. Do you guys have favorite flowers? I don't think I do. Shiro, from here, she looks like she's in such a weird position right now. Hydrangea is hortensia in French, says Google. I think I've heard hydrangea, maybe? No, maybe not. But I know what they are, they're really pretty. I like lilies because I like painting them. That's a good reason. I've realized too late that air plants only really flower or make babies when they are on their last legs. Oh, really? And this year meant so many fun and pretty flowers and all. Oh no! Yeah, oh, that's good to know. I had, like, I'm terrible with plants, but I tried air plants once. And yeah, it flowered and then died. So maybe that was not like 100% my terrible skills at keeping plants. Their flowers are really interesting though. A few made little versions of themselves, which is really cool, but no idea how to deal with the tiny ones. What do you mean? They're air plants, so they don't really need much in terms of care. They're so small, it feels like a gentle spray bottle is soon. Oh no, you gotta put them all together and like spray at them from a feet away. So they maybe get a few, you know, teeny tiny droplets. Diamond painting. I was wondering the other day, like, I know it's called diamond painting, but I was like, it's not exactly painting because no paint is, you know, involved. So I was trying to think of a, like, is there a better name for it? I don't think I came up with anything. It's a bit like a diamond puzzle, maybe. Oh yeah, did you have a nice birthday? Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's like wearing a witch's hat. That's a good choice. Yeah, it was fun. I had cake. Like I talked about my cake a bit earlier, but I made myself a very simple cake that was also very delicious. So that was really nice. Diamond gluing. Yeah, that's not bad either. Maybe diamond image. It's kind of funny because it's neither diamonds, neither paint, but sure. In my head, it's like a tiny version of those plastic pellets. Oh yeah. I will never forget your birthday. Why? My gosh. So far in my life, I've met 3 people that have, well, 2 other people that have the same birthday as I do. I know there are a lot, but like I haven't met many of them. But these other 2 people, like, one, well, they're both friends. One I met in, actually both I met in school. But anyway, yeah, it was just funny. Like you share your birthday with friends, and it's like, oh, hey, same birthday, woohoo! You and my mom share the same day. Oh, that's practical. That's handy. I think I had one pixel melt kit as a kid, but it was never melted. It was more like used as a perpetual puzzle kind of thingy. Aw. Oh, time for a flip. Essaie-tu coucher à l'extérieur de sa boîte? Oh, she's such an adorable kitten. I can't. kind of funny in a way. She is the smallest kitty I know, and she's mostly white, like I said, and she doesn't like to be in the sun. Which, on one hand, I'm like, that's great because you know, cats with lighter fur are more sensitive to the sun, and it could give them a lot of problems. But on the other hand, I've never really seen a cat that did not enjoy getting like boiling hot in the sun. This is a bit confusing. And she's a white cat. I mean, all cats get ridiculously hot in the sun, but she's not as toasty as a black cat would be. Shiro, is she a like? No, not really. Thing is our cats are indoor cats, and as such, they're not really up to date on anything. They're not treated for fleas. They're not like up to date on their vaccination and stuff. And I don't feel like it's such a good idea to, like, we want to, but we can't really let Shiro in. Besides, I don't think she would want to stay inside. She really enjoys her exploration time outside. Tempted to get Amy some shades. Cat strangeness, I've noticed, is both of mine love the sun, and both of them cover their eyes all day long with the dimmest light. That would just be so funny. Tiny sunshades. Even when not in the sun, some cats just love to cover their eyes with their paws when sleeping. Dante does it too. I think to show us that our lights annoy him. Oh. I'm sorry we have terrible vision compared to you, cats and dogs, and that we need more light to be able to see stuff. our brother-in-law is jealous that we have lap cats and their boy is just not having it. But we get to babysit in a few weeks and hoping to change that, but preparing myself to be disappointed just in case. Yeah, it can be difficult. You basically gotta let the cats do their cat things. And if they get comfy enough that they decide to do something different, well, good, but you can't really force a cat to do anything. Dexter would wrap inside my hoodie when in the hospital so he could nap in shade. Aww. Literally had just... Leora loves being under blankets. Aww. But outside he is sometimes so caught up with sniffing grass that he misses bunnies or squirrel or cats. Sensitive boys, sensitive eyes needed. Aw. Yeah, but also like it's like in vet clinics it's usually like those harsh neon lights. So I totally get it. He was surprised by deer he didn't see a few times too. Shiro is kind of like that for a lot of stuff. Sometimes you approach her like absolutely not in a stealthy way, and you get close to her and you go like Shiro, and she will be really surprised that you're there, and you're like, well, I didn't even try to sneak up on you. But other times she will definitely hear you coming from afar. So I don't know what's up. I think it's more a limitation of concentration than senses. After all, cats have small brains. They can do stuff, but, you know, less. Mind you, we can do that on Pico a lot too, but Pix is an orange cat, so I kind of expect it from Pico. Less so from Shiro, who's an outdoor cat. Vroom vroom, yeah, sorry about that. No, it's okay, just see how well tuned. It's a bit annoying at times because it just catches up on anything and everything, and you're like, I would appreciate it if you didn't pick up every single sound from outside. I'm so sorry. Time for a stretch. Hey, Pablo! Murphy's Law, it can be silent all day. The second you hit stream, the world comes on. I like the variant of that rule that goes where, let's say you're walking outside, you're going somewhere, and you're walking on the sidewalk, and there's not a single car, and you're like dip 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 dip, and you get to a crossroads, and suddenly cars, like a bajillion of them, and you have to wait for all their dance to finish so you can cross the crosswalk, and then you continue walking on the sidewalk and not a single car. Don't forget to like everyone. We'll never like everyone. Oh my gosh. Fair enough. Well, you could try. The moon's close to full, so I'm sassy. Oh, wait. Okay. I don't know if you guys heard that. Meow, and then she sneezed too. Hey, Cheryl. What time is it? Oh, yeah, she's gotta switch locations because there's no longer any shade here. So she's gotta find a spot if she decides that she still wants to nap where there's a bit of shade. She's a very talkative kitten. I don't know, but I know why, but talkative kittens or cats really make me laugh because they evolved being noisy to interact with humans, not necessarily to interact with other cats. So when you get a cat that's especially chatty, it really makes me laugh to think that they do that for us. Even if we have no idea what they're saying, like they will come, she'll will come to the window and she'll be like meow 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 meow, and has a bunch of stuff to say. And I'm like, this is exclusively for us. Thank you. I wish I could speak cat. It sounds super interesting. It's so tough to be a cat. You tried, you sure do. Man, a cat life depends. An outdoor cat, that can be a bit rough, but an indoor cat, that's such the toughest life you can ever think of. Oh my gosh, all you have to do is eat and sleep. So difficult. You occasionally get to break things too, so yeah, definitely a tough deal in life. a very tough break. I think the noises Dante makes is for us only two. He is usually very quiet, but he will squeak sometimes when nervous. I am infinitely grateful most of the time how talkative Bear is. He is 90% of my daily conversation when Herbie is working out. I love conversations with cats. It's so funny. Rolling back in. The 4:30 a.m. LO can be a bit much. Oh yeah, those. Pico has one of those, like an equivalent. Hers is at around, well, depends, but more generally around 2 a.m. And she will get into the bedroom and starts clawing at a plastic bag and doing weird chirping sounds. That's the signal that the goblin wants to be fed. And yeah, I usually get up, go to the bathroom, feed them, go back to bed, close the door, go back to bed. They're an animal that domesticated themselves. Not sure if that's a really clever thing or not. Scarany's bros. All I really do say hello. Takes 2 DDs more like. Hey, thank you for being here, Jill. I hope you have a great weekend. See ya maybe in the next one. One of my good ideas but poorly executed Inktober prompt was a cyborg screen and Bear choosing his options to torture us. Hey, welcome back, Otto. Didn't miss much. We're talking about cats. Shiro said meow. Or a weird, like, sound close to that. Cat chat, of course. It was going to be cats or food. Pretty much. Be right back, sorry. Oh, it's okay. No worries. I hope everything's fine. Alright, I'll go just quickly stop the machine and go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Pew pew pew. T'as-tu ton téléphone, pardon?
Oui.
Peux-tu te l'emprunter? Je vais prendre une photo du chevaux, elle est trop drôle. C'est quoi déjà pour...
Tu peux cliquer sur le truc ou tu fais un cercle dans l'écran.
Merci. Right, sorry about that. Bloop. The last two of the 5 mid-sized fish babies have finally started to change color a little. One is very calico, ooh, still, and the other has started to get some white and orange spot. It's like the longest blind pack reveal ever. We still can't figure out which ones are having the babies, but 1 koi and 2 goldfish. And 3 years on, we suddenly have 9. Also, if I'm starting to doze on the couch, if I disappear... Oh, oh, maybe you just need to rest, Ginger. That's fine, you know. It was a stressful week. Probably didn't sleep too well, so... the daily I don't know, howling moment has started with the dog that sounds like every quarter like a shitty flute. I don't know what's going on, but it's hilarious. Bundled in a Nightmare Before Christmas blanket, like it's my job. That sounds extra cozy and just in time for the season too. Like maybe you have it year long, but it's at least good for Halloween and Christmas. So that's already like twice the holidays that any other blanket would get. I think Nightmare Before Christmas has got to be the only kind of musical that I like, actually. The songs are really good. It's always out. It's my work blanket. Always at my desk or in use. That's good. Hey, welcome back, Otto. Also, like, I don't think I've seen the Soft Park one. Ow. Oh. I think I managed not to stab a bleedy bit. I stabbed a callus. Still smart, but like my finger slipped on the needle, and when I went to grab it again, I just stabbed my index finger. Sorry. But yeah, I've been using this one needle a lot ever since Otto sent it to me, and I've been using it enough that the gold on the like the end part of the needle has started to wear off quite substantially. I don't think it impacts the performance of the needle. I just find it funny. Like, you know, a tool is good when it gets worn out like that. Also, I was wondering, perhaps someone in chat knows, but is there a way to resharpen needles? Feels like a waste to just, like, I don't know, either discard or store away needles that are not as sharp as they were before. There's gotta be a way to sharpen them. No, I didn't bleed. I stabbed myself in the callus. We sewing or doing witchcraft here? Oh, both actually. I mean, you cannot hand sew and not poke yourself at some point. Yeah, I did. I'm excited to try the short ones too. Like, this is the shortest one from the pack you sent me. And I think the shorter ones are about like this long. And I'm eager to try them too. Turns out I really like short needles. There are needle sharpeners out there, but I am not convinced of their effectiveness. So you've never tried one, I take it. Susan says, not that I know of. Huh. If the point is actually blunt, then rub the emery board around only the point area of the needle. Or pull the tip of the needle backwards with some blunt. Okay. So there are ways if you're brave. Oh, a sharpening stone is not necessarily a terrible idea. It shouldn't be easy to sharpen them as to... Yeah, the steel is really hard. I've had some needles, like cheap ones, that would eventually bend, but I don't think you can bend these unless you really, you know, put some elbow grease into it and use pliers and stuff. You just have a jar, like you keep an old gem jar for the blunt needles. You call it cemetery of needles. We did that with pencils when we were studying in an animation school, because back then especially, everything was at least at some point drawn by hand. So we would go through those color erase pencils really fast. And sometimes there would be leftover in some of the classrooms, like they would have a cork board in the back. Nobody would really use it, but it was there. And people would just stab in the cork board their absurdly short pencil. Basically just the metal part. And if there was any eraser left and like the point, and they would stab that in the cork board, and we had put a little banner that said pencil cemetery. Yay for short needles. My favorite short needle is the John James size 10 Big Eye quilting needle. Huh. And size 10 is not like the smallest too, in terms of diameter, if I can say that. I'll have to look it up. I think John James is a UK-based company, so it might be a bit tricky to find around here, but I'll still write it down somewhere. Okay. A receipt. And now I need a pen of some sort. Okay. The John James. John James, sorry. I can talk. John James. Come on. Size 10 Big Eye quilting needle. Size 10. So if it's a quilting needle, that's got to be one to do the final quilting. Big Eye quilting. I can do two things at once, right? Right? Okay. The ones I use are ones Otto sent me, and they're from Clover, and they're black gold needles, which are really sharp and they work really fast because from what they say, they made microscopic grooves on the length of the needle, so there's less friction when you push it through fabric. Oh no, headache, that sucks, Paulo. The Big Eye just makes it easier to pull the thread through, and you can probably use a slightly bigger thread too, like a smaller weight of thread. I made a massive order with them, and I think the total with shipping was like $37. It's literally a needle company, and they're awesome. So you ordered from their UK website? Is that what you're saying? Good thing is needles are not very big, so if you can sort of put them all in an envelope and ship that out, that shouldn't be too pricey to ship out. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the black gold. Yeah, they're really, really efficient. Their bookbinding needles are exceptional. Ooh, and their unsewing needles are exceptional. It's lovely. It's all good. Do you remember which type these are, Otto? I'm pretty sure they're not the quilting needles because those are quite short, but are they the applique needles or the between quilting needles? Their bookbinding needles are yeah, okay. GG needles? JJ, sorry. They are the piecing ones. Okay, okay, cool. Makes sense. It's a really big game changer for me to actually try out like what I would call professional needles, because all the needles I've had before were the ones you get in the in the Sewing Susan kits, the assortment of all sorts of needles of all kinds, and not saying they are terrible, but I don't think they're as good as what I would call professional needles. That's when you notice that a sharp needle really makes a difference. I think my only beef with needles in general, and I don't think there's a way to solve that, is that if you have all your packs of needles jumbled together, it's gonna be difficult to sort them out. Not that I do, but imagine having like all the needles out of their packaging and all together in a pile. Some might be, you might be able to tell some apart, but there's gonna be like some that are difficult to tell apart, and it just bothers me. I think I was originally directed there for bookbinding. They also have a guide which, if you print it out, it's life-sized. So easy to figure out what you're using. Yeah, from their range. The black applique needles from Clover are really nice too. Why am I fabric shopping and someone stopped me? Do you have another project in mind, Otto? It's all good. Something fell. That's not an issue. That's fine. So, Susan, what kind of thread do you like to use for your quilts? I'm asking, like, I'm gathering data about quilting from all the quilting people I know. Otto, I don't think I asked you either. That's my answer. Also, it kind of cracks me up that a thing that I've seen a lot on Instagram is what they call slow stitching. And I kind of find it funny because, in a way, if you stitch by hand, if you sew by hand, it's gonna be slow for sure. So I feel like slow stitching is kind of a kind of a, I don't know how to describe it, but it feels like a really like vibey way to just say you're stitching by hand. Like what are you trying to sell me in terms of vibes when you call it slow stitching. Because let me tell you, if you stitch by hand, it's not going to be fast. It just can't be. Wasn't the one you found? Oh yeah, I found the intentional sewing one. That one cracked me up so freaking bad. Because it's really reminiscent of all those life coaching nonsense people that like you know when they take mindfulness too far. I think it was intentional sewing or sewing with intention, and I was like, as opposed to what? What's the reverse of sewing with intention? Like I've never heard of someone just being like, I'm gonna sew, and they just pull out a bunch of crap and just sew it together, and it's nothing. Unless they were trying to make like modern art or something, but even then, there's gonna be like a thought process behind. There's gonna be an intention. Like, how can you ever sew without intention? I can't fathom it. Hey, welcome back, Dan. I bet it's about the well-being, like mindful. Yeah, absolutely. Like slow stitching, it's like, oh, being more meditative about it, but you kind of have to. And I feel like it's a bit silly to, not silly, but it feels like it's a no-brainer, you know? Like, duh. Of course that happens. That's the whole point. Like, oh my, that depends. For quilts, I like to use 100% cotton because my quilts are 100% cotton most of the time. Gutterman or Orifil. For end sewing, the pre-wax quilting cotton thread. So you use cotton a lot, but I guess that works out fine because you use a machine, right? And when sewing with a machine, the thread doesn't go through the fabric as much as when hand sewing. Because the first thing I tried to sew with thread on a different project, I used cotton thread, and it was really nightmarish. I didn't use any thread conditioner on it though, so maybe that's a thing that could help. But yeah, Otto suggested I try polyester thread, and it works really well for hand sewing. Well, it sells to people who are not crafty. But what does it mean? I can't like I'm not saying that it's something that I fully endorse, but at least I can understand the meaning of mindful eating, because a lot of people would just eat as fast as they can and not even register anything they've eaten. So it kind of makes more sense. But yeah, like Otto says, if you are not intentional or fully present when you are hand sewing, you're just gonna stab yourself, and that's gonna make you quite. That's gonna bring you back to the moment for sure. So I just find it weird because it's a bit like unavoidable. I do have some silk threads, ooh, which are lovely, but not that much better than cotton for quilts. Oh, interesting. Huh. I don't know, I would think silk is less prone to breakage, but I really have no idea. If I believe pushing these two fabric squares through my sewing machine will make a bag, then it will be. I use either 100% cotton or 100% polyester, but probably not aware of what the heck I'm using when I am sewing. And sewing I use 100% poly. Yeah, you need a bit of beeswax or other thread conditioner. Okay, good to know. Okay, cool. Like nothing like the pain of being stabbed with a sewing needle to bring you back. Hey, hey, hey. Yep. That's gonna bring you back for sure. That's like, ah! Okay, I'm awake now. I'm here. What's going on? What's up? What happened? Why am I bleeding? Oh no, did I bleed on my project? Ah! Like you cannot be like completely out of it when sewing. It's one of those like things that I can see people like knitting or crocheting possibly, like not that I can do it, but I've seen people do that without looking at their project that's in their hands. But I don't think you can hand sew without looking at it. And I don't think you can machine sew either without looking at it. Or that's gonna be rock and roll. That's gonna be like surprise sewing. Like, cuckoo, what did you get? Yeah, the intentional sewing nonsense was, you know, it immediately had this vibe of this person is trying to sell me something. Like, they're not trying to share their passion for sewing or whatever, or for quilting, or like their projects, or they're definitely trying to sell me a course about some BS that, you know, is gonna be attractive at first, but after 5 minutes it's gonna sound like BS. It's gonna be rock and roll. How to know if a quilt is handmade? Look for bloodstains. That's actually quite accurate. Why are all your quilts so dark? Don't ask. Like, everything you quilt is made in darker fabric, so it hides the bloodstains. Hey. Super metal. Like, actually quilting is one of the most metal hobbies you can have. You know, it's like that game that you see people play with a knife, where they go with the knife around their fingers and the goal is to not stab your fingers. Well, how many times do we do that with hand sewing? Every time you poke a needle through fabric, you're basically playing that game. And any project is like thousands and thousands of stitches. We need a sticker that says something like "Stitches are stitches!" And it's for like metal quilting. Autumnal colors, I disdains the yeah. Unless you go to the, you know, bright yellow of some trees, but if you keep it to the deep red oranges and browns and dark greens. Hot take, but the term loose watercolor is trending in Germany as a technique to paint flowers, the super loose one. And it's used, hold on, for flowers only? I think it's the same, just, oh yeah, loose watercolor. I am not a good person about these kind of things. I kind of get mean. But I mean, it's fine. You do whatever you want. I might have an opinion on it, but everybody has opinions. They're just like assholes in that regard. We kind of get that every time a professional painter gets, or whatever, professional whoever gets in the spotlight for a bit. Like, it, you could see it with Jean Haynes. And Jean Haynes has a very kind of loose and drippy watercolor style. And I would see people trying to emulate her style, but whereas Jean Haynes does it with like big brushes and drips and whatnot, people would use small brushes and like paint the drips instead of having the paint make the drip itself. And it's just like, you can do whatever you want, like as long as you like the result, that's fine. But it kind of, I felt like it always kind of missed the point of the technique. But I mean, you do you do you. not translating the English term. Feels weird. And it's okay to teach painting loose, but the books feel so odd. It's often a stepping point for a lot of people to get into paint, but yeah, I agree. You know, there's so many books about painting flowers, florals, whatever, that are kind of all the same style, and to a point, for most of them, if you took any image from those books, take them out of the books, put them in a lineup, I wouldn't be able to tell you like which is from which, because they kind of all look the same. And it's not ugly, but they're really selling you the vibe of it as much as the technique itself, you know. It's like when you see people, influencer, they kind of sell you their lifestyle at the same time, even if it's unattainable for some people. So that's sort of the vibe I get with these trends. Like for a few people, it's gonna launch them into something they will grow, and that's awesome. But for a lot of people, it's just gonna be like the current thing, and eventually they'll move on to something else, and that's also fine. But yeah, you know, you see it in English paper piecing with a person who seems to be quite well known for her work in this technique. But she has like all this branding, like templates with her name on them, tools, glue sticks, like everything with her name on it. And it's like at some point they have to try to sell you that stuff. So yeah. And I'm rambling. And it's past 4, which is why I'm rambling. Alright, I'm almost halfway there with attaching all the squares together. And then I'm going to be attaching all the strips together, and then I'm going to be done. Whee! I have fun playing with different techniques, but I find it hard to incorporate a lot of them into the way I paint, which is using watercolor as crayon. I tested a palette curated by one of those people, and I didn't like the mixes. Then watch her videos, and she hardly ever mixes colors. Yeah, exactly. They will either mix on paper directly, like let puddles touch each other and spread a bit, but very little like mixing in the palette. You're getting so fast. I don't know if I am, but as long as I have fun, you know. Like I've tried quite a few kind of similar crafts, and I feel like so far this one is the one I find the least tedious, even though it's really repetitive in a way. Like I've tried knitting and I don't like it. I don't like it. It didn't, like it doesn't, it's not that I don't like knitting, it's just that I feel nothing in regards to knitting. And I tried crochet, but crochet gets tedious after a bit, and my hands get crampy and all that. And so far this has none of that. So touching some wood, hopefully it sticks. But yeah, so I'll oh, Frau Holle. Holle? Yeah. I've seen her stuff before. She has a bunch of palettes. She has a Van Gogh palette that's pink. She has brushes. I think I have them. And she has quite a few Schminke palette. And yeah, she does those loose, like, abstract, a bit florals and stuff. It's playing with colors. It's interesting, but yeah. Maybe it's not having to follow a pattern, but you still kind of have to follow a pattern. I think it's I think there's a part of it that's like once you've committed to a thing, then there's a part of the process where you can be really mindless about it. Like once all my triangles are glued to fabric, I don't really have to think about it anymore, you know? And then once all my triangles are laid out, well, I don't really have to think about the layout anymore. I can just sew them together. I pick the next one, sew it, pick the next one, sew it. And then once all the strips are done, I don't have to think about it. They're in the proper order. I just have to. So I think this rhythm in creating stuff using this technique, that's actually interesting in that you don't have to push through that much because there's a rhythm. So you get kind of breaks and you get a part that's a bit more involved mentally, so you get into it, but then you're just like coasting. Whereas for crochet, you kind of have to keep track of where you are in the pattern, and I was always terrible at that. I would always lose my spot in the pattern, and I did a lot of like crochet just from like, oh, I want to do a face hugger in crochet, and I would just like wing it, but it's not quite the same. It's like one intense like push, and then I forget everything. I forget how I did it. So I feel like this is, you cannot really forget how you do it, and you don't really have to follow as closely, and you cannot really lose yourself in a way. Does that make sense? What is a face hugger? It's a creature from the Alien movies. Oh, I quite like the brushes. Yeah, for sure, but then why make all the books with tutorials which don't teach anything really? Crochet pattern. I think there's like multiple conversations going on and everybody's confused. I think Lana is talking about the loose floral painters and their tutorials and patterns and whatnot, and I think Otto is talking about patterns in terms of crafting with knitting, crochet, or EPP. But yeah, I kind of like it, and I was a bit worried that I would be like, oh my gosh, that's such a lot of hand sewing, but so far I'm not fed up with it, so. I can't follow crochet patterns, but knitting is easy. I don't know, I find knitting stressful. I don't know why. And I feel like, I think in general, I prefer working with fabrics than yarns. But yeah, that's just like tentative thoughts for now. Alright, so I think I'm gonna end the stream here. I need to rest my really weak voice. Probably gonna keep going at this, and I don't know if that's gonna be this project next week for the stream, or if I'm gonna go back to the other one I was doing. I'm gonna go back to the hexagons. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for being here. I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope a great week after that, and we will probably see each other next weekend. And until then, take care. See you on the Discord. And yep. Bye bye. That is gorgeous, the hexagon one. Oh, thank you.
tellement de partout.